We continue now with our series on growth in the Valley, and tonight we are highlighting law enforcement. With an increased population comes challenges, so we wanted to find out, how are the local police departments tackling all this growth? Some of what we found out might surprise you. Our Morgan Boyston is here to shed some light on this subject. Morgan?
Last night, you heard from the Boise police chief about how they're tackling growth. Tonight, you'll hear about the unique, possibly surprising challenges in Caldwell, Nampa, and Meridian. With robust population growth,
a lot of growth,
those who protect and serve us are confronted with the challenge of keeping up.
Along with that growth comes more calls, the expansion of the city, your response time to calls increases.
One of the things that we have to do is ensure the public safety and trying to keep our heads above water. And it's a constant challenge of being able to fulfill those needs and maintain those service levels.
Law enforcement must up their personnel and allot resources to issues that arise. While it's not a basis for staffing decisions or comparison, a common measurement police departments look at is officers per 1,000 residents.
We have to always look at our levels of officers, our service levels.
Their eyes are on crime trends as well. Crime rates in certain cities in the Valley are inching back up from where they were 10 and 20 years ago, but at a slower pace than their population growth, while a number of cities are experiencing downward trends in major crime categories. In Meridian, the epicenter of the growth, the police force is growing together with population.
More people, more challenges.
With a 2016 average of just 1 officer per 1,000,
our next step is to add more detectives.
While Meridian touts a very low crime rate and violent crimes have decreased over the last 10 years, property crimes have increased.
The crime that we do have is what we call crimes of opportunity. Although we're having additional crimes, our crime levels per population are not increasing.
Police Chief Jeff Levy says thanks to city leaders making public safety a priority, the department's been able to up its staff over the years.
One of the advantages that we've been able to do here in Meridian is still deal with the small stuff.
Let's compare that to a city of comparable size, Nampa, where violent crime and property crime are up from 2007. In 2016, there were 111 police officers for 91,500 people.
We need to grow as a department with the city.
And that's roughly the same number of officers as 10 years ago, despite steady population growth.
One thing right now that is getting a little stressed is our patrol division. And our detective units, they're stretched thin too.
When Police Chief Joe Huff took over nearly 2 years ago, he says the department was lacking quality vehicles and equipment. But that's changing.
The next step is to get our personnel up. The level of service may not be where we want it to be.
Chief Huff plans to ask the city for more patrol officers and support staff consistently over the next 5 years.
Nampa Police Department is keeping up with the growth that you're seeing in Nampa.
I believe it is, but I believe that we need to act. If you ask me that question in a year from now, and if we keep growing the way we are, I'd say we're a little behind.
Nampa and its next-door neighbor Caldwell were once plagued with gang violence. Today, both agencies agree they've curtailed the rampant problem, but remain vigilant with gang specialists. Rewind to a decade ago in Caldwell.
As soon as you got on duty, you would hear gunshots, or you would just get calls of gunshots, and you were just constantly racing from call to call.
As we learned, the city of Caldwell has the most unique story as it relates to crime and growth.
And our crime index and stats show that our population has gone up and our crime has gone down, and typically that doesn't happen.
Caldwell has less officers per 1,000 than they did 10 and 20 years ago.
Our biggest need probably right now is in patrol. With that growth of patrol, investigators get more cases.
Chief Frank Wyant says the department struggles with retention since Caldwell doesn't pay as much as surrounding agencies. He's working to tackle that issue by asking the city to raise pay, but it goes back to Caldwell's smaller property tax base, which is starting to rise as the city is being reinvigorated.
Would you say that Caldwell Police Department is keeping up with the growth we're seeing in the Treasure Valley?
I think we're a little behind the curve, but again, the reason I think that is we're trying to address step 1 before we get to step 2.
Chief Wyant says their success in reducing crime is due to a combination of things: proactive and interactive policing, like addressing street crimes right away, innovative approaches and technology, and community involvement and relationships.
Caldwell lives with a stereotype, not a real, actual crime and safety problem anymore.
As cities expand, police departments study demographics, take into account the increase of square miles, buildings, and infrastructure. Departments across the valley ensuring they focus on community involvement and proactive policing.
Really the big ones are population, calls, response time, and then unobligated time.
What does the community expect from us?
So even though crime is increasing in some categories in the Treasure Valley, the department heads I talked to say the numbers aren't staggering and the crime rates are manageable. Now, all police chiefs mention traffic as an issue. Some say infrastructure isn't keeping up with the growth, which poses very serious safety concerns.
Some interesting statistics, but as you said and you heard others say, not alarming. All right, Morgan, thanks.